For what, a decade now? Google Chrome has basically been the internet for most of us. It's our window to the web. But what if a browser could be more than just a window? What if it could actually work for you? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. We're diving into Comet, a brand new browser from Perplexity AI that's built from the ground up to do just that. The goal here is to turn your browser from a passive tool into an active partner. I mean, seriously think about it. The last time you planned a trip or did some deep research for work, how many tabs did you have open? 20? 30? How much time did you spend just copying and pasting stuff between them? If you feel like you're spending more time just managing your browser than actually getting things done, you are definitely not alone. And that is the exact problem that Comet is trying to solve. All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we're going to dig into the pain points of browsing right now. Then we'll officially meet Comet and its secret sauce, something called Agentic AI. We'll put it head-to-head with Chrome, and then, this is important, we'll do a reality check on the hype versus the real-world hurdles. And finally, we'll ask the big question, is this where all our browsers are headed? Okay, so let's set the stage with the problem. We have all been there, right? Just staring at a screen that is just a sea of tiny little tabs, and you can just feel your brain starting to short circuit. I mean, on average, most of us are juggling more than 10 tabs at any given time. We're constantly switching contexts, from an article to a spreadsheet to an email back to the article. It creates this huge cognitive drain. We're manually stitching information together, doing the same repetitive clicks over and over. Our browsers were designed to navigate web pages, not to handle the super complex workflows we throw at them every single day. And this is where Perplexity, the company behind that popular AI answer engine, is making its big play. Their argument is that the browser needs a total redesign from the ground up. It needs to shift from being tool-centric, where you do all the work, to being assistant-centric, and that's where Comet comes in. So the first big thing here is that Comet is designed to actually understand context. This isn't just about typing in a keyword. You can ask it really complex questions about the specific page you're on, or you can even ask it to compare information across a bunch of different tabs you have open. It gets your intent, not just your search query. Next up, Comet organizes your chaos. It has this feature called workspaces that's designed to replace that messy row of tabs. Just think of them like these dynamic project folders that keep all your related stuff, your tabs, your notes, your summaries, all in one place. So when you come back to a project, the entire context is saved. No more digital clutter. And this is the real game changer. Comet is designed to act on your behalf. It can draft a reply to an email using info from a document in another tab. It can find and book a meeting slot in your calendar, or even shop for a product you're looking for. This is all about delegating the tedious tasks, not just finding information. So how in the world does it do all of this? Well, the magic behind Comet is a concept that is quickly becoming one of the most important ideas in all of tech, Agentic AI. Now, pay close attention to the wording here. We're moving from responding to commands to orchestrating tasks. And Agentic AI doesn't just answer your question. You give it a high-level goal, and it breaks that down into a bunch of smaller steps that it just goes and does on its own. It's designed to be your proactive thought partner. Let's make this real. Imagine planning a trip. Instead of you opening 15 different tabs for flights and hotels and reviews and restaurants, you just give the AI a single goal. Plan a trip to Tokyo for next week. The agent then goes and does that whole multi-step workflow for you, handling all the boring parts, and then it just presents you with a finished draft. That is the core promise here. All right, let's get to the main event. How does this stack up against the undisputed king, Google Chrome? Because this isn't just about a few extra features, it's really a clash of two totally different philosophies about what a browser should be. Okay, let's break this down. First, AI integration. With Chrome, you're getting AI through extensions like Gemini. They're powerful for sure, but they're kind of bolted on after the fact. In Comet, the AI is native. It's woven into the very core of the browser. This is what lets it have that cross-tab awareness, where it understands the whole context of your work. In Chrome, your tabs are pretty much siloed off from each other. And then there's a huge difference in privacy. Comet is pushing a local-first model. That means more of your sensitive data gets processed right on your machine, not sent to the cloud. That's a pretty stark contrast to Chrome, which is, deeply tied into Google's whole cloud ecosystem. So look, the vision is incredible. I mean, it's really compelling. But Comet is still a brand new product, and it is so important that we separate the hype from the very real hurdles that early users are running into right now. And the potential is definitely there. You see journalists and early adopters talking about huge productivity gains, automating all those repetitive tasks and saving tons of time. When it works, it apparently feels like actual magic. But, and you knew there was a but coming. As with any new, groundbreaking technology, there are some pretty significant catches you need to know about. And yeah, this list of hurdles is not short. First off, platform support. Right now, it's mostly for Apple Silicon Macs, so that leaves a lot of people out. Second, performance. Benchmarks show it's still a step behind Chrome in raw speed. Then you have the AI hallucinations. It can just make stuff up or make big mistakes, which is a massive problem if you're trusting it to book a flight for you. It also struggles with some of Google's security. And finally, the cost. It launched with a crazy steep $200 a month price tag. Now it's free to try, but what that final business model looks like is still a big question mark. And then we get to the biggest concern of them all, security. Giving an AI agent the power to act for you, well, it opens up an entirely new ways for things to go wrong. Researchers from firms like LayerX and SquareX have warned that a single cleverly crafted link could potentially trick the AI into giving away sensitive data or doing something malicious. And this has kicked off a really critical debate that gets right to the heart of agentic AI. It's this paradox of trust versus automation. On one side, you have security researchers saying these AI agents just don't have human common sense, creating a new weak point for attackers. On the other side, Perplexity says, hey, these are basically just fancy phishing attacks. If a human gets tricked into clicking a bad link and then tells the AI to go ahead, you can't really blame the AI. This debate is very, very far from being settled. But even with all these challenges, Comet isn't just some niche experiment. This is a serious, very well-funded challenger that's entering the market at a really interesting time. With over $900 million in funding from absolute heavyweights like Jeff Bezos and NVIDIA, Perplexity has the cash to play the long game. They can afford to refine the technology and work through all these early issues. And to really see the opportunity here, you just have to look at the context. Yes, Chrome's dominance is absolute, but the use of non-traditional browsers is actually growing. People are actively looking for something different, and Perplexity itself is already serving hundreds of millions of queries a month, so there's a clear appetite for something new. And all of this is happening in what you could call a perfect storm. We're all burnt out from tab overload, AI is now totally mainstream, and we expect our tools to be smarter. At the exact same time, Google is facing a ton of antitrust pressure that could weaken its grip, while Perplexity is busy making deals with companies like Samsung and Motorola to get their services put on new phones right out of the box. So while Comet has a long road ahead, it represents a really fundamental question about what we want our browsers to be. It's a glimpse into a future where browsing is less about clicking and more about thinking. The question isn't really if our browsers will become intelligent agents anymore, it's when. And who's going to build the one we actually trust?